These are four brothers, here to provide, guide, and share the heart-centered light from within, utilizing experience and perspective on masculinity as a whole. They now invite you to come on this epic journey to grow with them and watch the magic happen. The movement within.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Movement Within. Today we're going to be talking about thoughts and emotions, right?
Yeah,
that's it. Thoughts and emotions. And the setup today is going to be a little different. We decided to have a little dinner and a little, I was about to say picnic. It's not a picnic.
It's a barbecue.
A barbecue.
Picnic.
So thoughts and emotions. I think for me, thoughts, I don't know. There's a lot to say with just these two things, thoughts and emotions. Like, can you control your emotions with your thoughts? What do you think, Josh?
I'm not really sure. I think that once you get stable enough in your thought process, I think you can control a lot of like your thoughts and your feelings of what you're kind of going through. I've experienced it a lot. Even being here, we experience a lot of thoughts, a lot of emotions, just kind of talking to you guys and kind of letting you guys know. We experienced so much, and it's been a great experience so far. But yeah,
I mean on that topic though, like one thing we always like to be real and transparent with you guys, and we actually had a small powwow, if you will, of reality and clarity right before this episode of what we really want out of this whole thing, right? And it's not only what we want, but it's also like the type of impact that we want to make on the community, right? So we had to use a lot of the thoughts that we had, and there was some emotion tied to it, right?
Yeah.
Whether we want to, admit that or not. But I think that's a big role and plays a huge part in every one of our lives, right? Because whether you had a bad day and you're going home and you're thinking of shit that's going through your mind, that's always tied back to an emotion, right? A lot of times we think that we feel it first, but in reality, it's actually, in my opinion, it's the opposite of that, right? You start thinking of those things, even subconsciously, you don't even realize it, and next thing you know, you're feeling it, right? Same thing when it comes into like a fear state basis, right? You're sitting there, let's say you're driving and there's a cliff next to you. The first thing that pops in your head is, oh shit, what if I fall off the cliff?
yeah,
Right? And then after you think that, then the fear starts to set in inside and the emotions come into play into that, right? If you really are conscious and aware of that, it's normally opposite, right? It's opposite of what you really truly think it is, right? And that's where your thoughts can play a huge role in what emotions are constantly coming in your everyday life.
Yeah. I think that, of course, like, I mean, sometimes it's like a big, huge echo in the back of your head, your thoughts, and then like if you, just like you're saying, driving. I mean, even like first time I went rock climbing type of thing, like you don't want to jump up on the wall because you start panicking, all these thoughts going ahead. What's gonna happen when I get up on the top? If I fall? You know what I mean? So it's always got to be something. Thoughts can get crazy, man. But
dude, and then you fall and you're like, okay, well, hey, it wasn't as bad as what I was feeling it was gonna be, right? Like, think of this. Think of when you go, and ladies, you can relate to this too. Obviously, pull from a different perspective. But like, if you were to go talk to somebody, and so let's say you're in middle school or high school, and what's the number one thing that comes into your mind? What if I get rejected? What if she's not going to be into me? What if she says no? Right? Like, but the more you come into it, like when you go and experience it, and you go and ask her out, or you get enough courage to go and talk to her and just say hi. Normally, you feel great about it because you overcame that hurdle and overcame that battle within yourself, over your mind. And at the end of the day, you're going to be even 10 times more confident going into the next situation. But then you also you're going to see another girl or another person that you're interested in. And what happens, right? Normally you get stuck in your head again, right? And you're like, shit, same thing comes in. What if she says no? What if she rejects me? Whatever, right? So it's just funny to see how a lot of the repetitiveness of life comes into play in every single day, right? It's just a matter of, again, back to our last episode of awareness as well, right? How aware are you of your thoughts and emotions, and what can you do to control them? In my opinion, you can control them 100%. It's all on you in regards to what you want.
So, like you're saying, you think of thoughts and then you have the emotions.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
in what situation can you do the reverse? Like you have
I
the
see it
emotions
opposite.
and then you're yeah. So
I see it opposite
how do you see that?
because emotions is connected more to your heart, your intuition, and your thoughts is more connected to your brain. So I think you receive more through your heart and through your emotions first, and then it goes up to your brain, and that's where the problems happen. And that's when you start second guessing something, or
Panicking.
what if this or what if that. That's where your fear manipulates itself, and
Like your confidence.
it comes about. Yeah,
It's like speakers.
but that emotion, like emotion is an emotion. Like love is an emotion. Being sad is emotion. Like it's never really changing. It is what it is. It doesn't really get too bounced around on what it is.
Yeah.
You know, thoughts are. It could be opinion wise. It can be from just from different people. Like thoughts is just. I don't know. I feel like it's.
Like made up. Like you make
It's
it up.
not
So-
technically. I think it's more of like an ego and love heart-centered thing. I think they work together, but I think they're not working together in this point in time with most people.
See, and that's
Because
where it brings up my opportunity, like choice.
Yeah.
Right. Think of choice
Free
in any
agency.
situation. No, exactly right.
Free
Exactly,
agency.
free agency, right? To your exact point, Johnny, is okay. I get that feeling in my heart that I should do this, or it's the right thing to do in this situation, and then you get presented with the opportunity of choice.
Yep.
Right. And once you get in that perspective, then that's obviously where you proceed in any way that the outcome is supposed to happen, right? But I think that it's an equal balance to both of those, right? 'Cause just like the example of the cliff compared to the example of what we were just talking about, right? I think it comes to that equal balance, and there's many times where we do a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that. You know what I mean?
I agree 100%. It's it's where you want to choose to be, and what more of a truth do you want to hold up to yourself. You can go off that first thing, or you can sit there and spin in your thoughts. I honestly just don't think some thoughts are stable.
No,
They're
I
not
believe
earthly.
it.
They're all airy. It's always
Yeah.
changing.
Well, where does ego come from?
Inside.
Ego comes from, I think, the same place. I think ego kicks in when that emotion first comes up, and then you see it, and then you feel like you have to manipulate it, or you have to do something to understand it, or you have to do something to relate to it, or whatever. And I think that's when your ego steps in, because maybe you're not sure of what you want to do, and that ego just wants to step in and take care of
Yeah,
what
see,
you're unsure of.
See, I feel opposite, right? And again, I love this discussion, right? I feel opposite of that, right? Because in my personal opinion and experience, ego lives in your head, where love lives in your heart, right? And in my opinion, there's always the two different, right? Not to say there's black and white, where there's only the ego, only the love. There's always that in between and outside of that, right? But that goes back to the same experience that I was talking about if you were to go and ask out a girl, right? Your ego self wants to go ahead and fill you with all this negative bullshit.
Yeah.
Where your heart is also being like, no, Johnny, dude, yeah, you feeling this girl, go talk to her,
Go
dude.
do it.
Chris, go and get her number. Go do your thing, right? So there's that internal battle, right? And that's why I feel like it is the opposite, is where your ego will live up here. Same situation when me and Chris were driving up here today, right? There's a situation that I was going through, and I was giving him the lowdown on it, and even from then, he even knew, like, again, it was coming from an ego-based perspective, right? And me being aware, I even let him, like, dude, I'm coming from an ego place right now, because all these things that are not true continue to enter my mind, which then related to my fear-based emotion, right? So
I agree. I think ego definitely comes from your head. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, when you think you can't do something, it comes from your head. Like, you start doubting yourself. You start losing confidence in yourself. And I think it's like made up. Like, the world doesn't change. Like, your thoughts change. And I think that's where ego comes from specifically.
Yeah, I think sometimes you just gotta stop listening and just free flow it in life, just kind of let it go and just try not to think as much as possible.
dude, but sometimes that's hard, right?
Yeah, sometimes
Like-
it's the hardest thing.
Like,
It's hella hard. Dude.
Yeah, it's
I know for sure. Like, I'm going through something right now. Like, you have to face yourself, and I haven't yet. I'm honestly scared. I'm scared, but I know I have to do it. Planning to do it this weekend. We'll see. But it's like ego is like literally facing yourself. We see it in movies. We see it in like The Legend of Zelda when you're facing Dark Link, you know, like you're facing yourself, like
true.
honestly, and
It's
it's
a
just,
mirror, man.
and I think as soon as you pass that barrier, I mean, I have no idea. Others that have, I don't know. I feel like you guys have.
Can you
and-
share?
but not
Can you
me.
share with everybody? Right. Remember when it was the last time that we met up? We got to my place, and I use this analogy when it comes to it, right? And I was actually a little confused because if you watch that latest version of the movie, right, there was 3 doors. Normally they end up going for the most scariest door, but they end up going for a different door, right? Share that the whole like dialogue that we had in regards to that situation, because that plays a role in what it happened, right? Because again, it still deals with thoughts and emotions, but dude, share a little bit of what we were doing with that.
Okay. All right. So with the it thing, I can't remember what we were talking about. You remember what we were talking
Not
about?
the topic, no.
Not the topic. I don't remember, but
Had to be do with something with fear though.
yeah, it had to
Overcoming
be.
it.
Oh yeah, because I was like something. It was about me. I know, like I had to face myself or something like that. And then he gave me the analogy of the It movie. How there's 3 doors and the 2 kids have to pick a door, right? Like scary, not that scary, very scary or something like that.
Yeah.
And so they picked the door that says not scary at all, I think.
It was like not scary but kind of scary or something.
Yeah, I can't remember. And then they open it, and then it's like, it was, what was it? Oh, it was a kid dangling. It was a kid dangling, like, right? If you've seen the movie, it's a kid dangling, and they get freaked out and they close it. And then the kid said, "Remember, bro." He said, "Remember, dude, it's all in your head." And so at that point, he was holding onto the door, and he said, "Dude, like, remember, it's all in your head. It's not real. It's made up." And then they opened the door back up, the same door, and everything was normal. Everything was
It
fine.
was a normal hallway for them to get out.
Yeah, and it's because it's all in your head, because of your thoughts.
Yeah.
Everything that's around you, like society, like you know, like it's just a bunch of cover up. But if you really look at it, it's all like made up. It's all in your head.
I mean, it's scary. Just, I don't know, just like sometimes your thoughts can just amplify so much to where it just scares you to do anything in life, you know? And I think that's the biggest thing about what we're doing is trying to raise awareness to kind of battle that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So, I think it's been way cool.
Yeah, it's so funny. We were talking about, like, before we even recorded, we had, like Derek said, we had this little powwow, right? And we had this little meeting, and we were like, oh, how should we do this video? How should we? And I think we were like, oh yeah, we need to get likes and stuff, and like, yeah, I think those things, they're important, but to a point, you know. I think we can't let ego get in the way, and we have to remember, like, why we're doing this video, why we're doing all this whole movement. You know, we're sharing our opinions, our thoughts, and our emotions.
Yep.
You know, so I think it all goes back to the beginning, to the first, like, our why. Why are we doing this? To help other people. It doesn't matter if we get 1,000 likes, or even like, or at the beginning, if we even get like 30 likes. It doesn't matter, as long as what we said, maybe one of our stories affects
Somebody else positively.
yeah, if it helps you in a positive way, that's what we're aiming for, to help other people. Even if it's just one other person, we did it.
That's what I love that you bring that up, right? Because one big reason why I felt, for personally, that we should even talk about that was, one, because of a feeling, right? Because of an emotion, because of something that was coming from within me, that I felt like that was a conversation that the 4 of us needed to have in order for us to proceed, grow from, and learn from an experience, right? But it just so happened that me following that feeling worked out for all of us, right?
Yeah.
I think we could all say that we shared the same feeling or emotion, but we all had our own topic or our own opinion of the situation,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I'm talking about. Is I feel like a lot of people, and when we talk about masculinity, for example, a lot of times we're like, no, I'm a man, I can't talk about my emotions, I can't talk about my feelings, I can't do all this, because if I do, then I'm going to come off and I'm going to be soft, right? You heard us talk about it in some of the previous episodes and what that looks like, right? But in reality, it's not, right? We all, no matter how hard that conversation was, even if we had to process it, feel bad at the moment or slightly or whatever the situation was, look at us now. We're still here,
Yeah.
4 brothers, talking to you guys today on our experiences in our life and what's been happening, and we came to a mutual agreement And it's not that we're soft or that we're weak or anything like that, right? We're actually stronger because we had that conversation, because we went through with the emotion and the feelings. And in turn, the way that Johnny sees it, right, is the thoughts that were coming in afterwards, right? And we shared it, we came together with an agreement. We're talking with you today, you know, cooking some burgers and some, I don't know what those are. What are they?
Beyond Meat. You guys can
Beyond
get them at
Meat.
a supermarket near you. It's delicious.
We're eating the real stuff, the beef. Again, if you saw, you know, the first episode we uploaded, I got the meat.
He's always got the meat though. All the time, this guy.
Anyway, though, I think Johnny really has something to say about how all this plays into masculinity.
I think that men and women and humans as a whole race got it all twisted on both sides. Just not masculinity, but on femininity. The thoughts and emotions that go through us, it goes through all of us, whether you're a woman, guy, children, grandpa. It all kind of runs through us all. It's never one-sided. It is all universal. Thoughts are universal. They're shared. These thoughts come from somewhere before they come to us. It's part of the universe, and it's the same thing with emotions. I think maybe emotions just come harder for me. They come in stronger for me, and my thoughts I've learned to use differently. But
Grab some of the other stuff.
the opinions of society on all this, as I think, is very backwards. I think it isn't exactly what it should be, and I think you should be who you are, not depending on anybody's opinion or the opinion of the whole society at all. You should always be who you are. You should always be within yourself, and the more and more I think that we can get in touch with our thoughts and our emotions, because that's what we're trying to have here. Like, I was talking to my friend the other night when I was around the campfire. I was like, tomorrow's Monday. And he's like, I know, it's gonna suck. And I'm like, Mondays are the best days for me. Like, I love Mondays. Yeah, that's why.
too.
Because we meet up on Mondays. I'm always looking forward to it. It's the beginning, you know. And it does go backwards too, because when my thoughts are there, and then my emotion comes here when I get here. So it's just, you know, it all works together and all goes together, but it's different for everybody. You know, it really is, and it's all up in the air, and it's a beautiful thing, you know, that you can share and you can learn from, and you don't have to be ashamed of it, because we all are kind of in the same boat. Tomato, tomato, but we're the same thing.
So I wanted to share one thing, right? So over Thanksgiving time, right around that period, we actually rented a cabin up in the mountains, and as a family,
Not me.
I wasn't there either.
no, my family. you're my secondary family, but we don't really spend too much time together, but we did this, right? And the example of this is I have a brother-in-law, and this dude is the definition of what current people think the whole masculinity is, right? And this is actually a beautiful thing. So he was sitting there and he got all pissed off because like we were all having a good time. He wasn't feeling it. He wanted to go do his own thing. He had another thing in mind, and so he got all pissed off, and he ended up going up in the room and just chilling and hanging out and doing whatever, his own thing, right? Later on, it took about 2 or 3 weeks, I'd say afterwards, where I get a phone call from him, right? And he's not the dude to share his feelings. He's the one. If we were to arm wrestle, right? If me and Josh were to arm wrestle, he would instantly be the next one in line, and he would want to beat every single guy in the room, right? Because to show he's the strongest, to show that he's the hardest, to show that you know that's where he gets his worth. And 3 weeks later, he gives me a call, and I'm like, okay, I actually missed the call, and I was like, okay, I wonder what it is. I call him back, and he's sitting there, and he says, hey, Derek, you know what? I just wanted to let you know that I'm sorry. That I'm sorry that I was acting the way that I was, and that I secluded myself from the family, and that I wasn't partaking in the you know activities and everything that you guys were doing, because I was in my own head and I was doing my own thing, right? This dude, you literally gotta think, right? So I'm 31 years old, he's in his 40s, and it took him 40 years, literally 40 years to get to a point where he was able to share his feelings, share his thoughts, and get to a point where he can actually apologize for them. Right? I know you got some type of experience in regards to this,
I was
right?
actually gonna say something after.
Yeah, and so to that point, right? I was like, holy shit, like wow, like this dude, he is taking a huge step ahead to really just share how he was feeling, right? And think of the barrier that he overcame and the hurdle he overcame just in calling me.
Yeah, just calling
and,
you.
and sharing the feeling. And me and him are not super close, right? And so I'm just like, wow, like I saw that in him. And I even told him, I was like, thank you, right? Like thank you for showing me who you really are and not who you thought you've been this entire time, right? So what you got?
Well, I actually got my dad. So my dad is the definition of what people would probably think masculinity is. Just a hard-ass, hard worker, not giving a shit type of guy, you know, like just, I mean, it's like he said, I mean, I think I met my dad when I turned 19 or 20, but ever since I knew him, other than like the last couple of years, like he's been like the definition of just a crazy guy, you know, like a guy you don't want to mess with, a guy you don't like, an angry person, you know. I mean, just what everybody thinks masculinity kind of is, you know, like just not giving a fuck attitude. I mean, he's a hard worker, but you know, just that attitude, you know, of just not giving a fuck. I think drinking, you know.
How did that play a role in your life, though? Right? I know you met him later on in life, right? But like, how did that play a role in your life and in going forward and how you saw your own self?
It actually changed me a lot. Just seeing who my dad was and what he's become of himself has changed me a lot, because I didn't want to kind of go down that path, and I knew he didn't want me to go down that path. So if he's watching, I'm sorry, but I know he didn't want me to do anything like he did. I did most of the things he did already, but yeah, he definitely wanted me to open up my eyes and be better with my kids, because he wasn't so good with us growing up because of the anger issues and stuff like that, you know. I think masculinity is like, I mean, to me, masculinity is kind of bullshit because it's a bunch of anger, you know what I mean? And I have a lot of it too with my own children and even my wife, you know, like because of what I've been through. So, but you really gotta, I guess, tone it down, you know, like, because you don't always have to be like this mean guy or like everybody. I think you want that image of like everybody to respect you, especially in your own family and your friends. But really, the respect isn't off of getting angry and stuff like that. It's more of off of being nice and being there for them, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, that says a lot about your journey, right?
Yeah.
Because, for example, like one question that I have, right, that literally just popped in my mind is how each of us literally deal with our thoughts and our emotions. Like, what do we do when they come up, right? For me, for example, I use a lot of self-affirmation, right? And if it's a really hard day because I'm literally so in my head, I literally, refer back to meditation or even venting and talking to somebody and not putting all of my problems on somebody, because I'm taking ownership of my own stuff, right? But at the same time, like I really need to look at myself first before I go ahead and put it on anybody else, right? Like before I talked to Chris today about all that stuff that's been going on in my life right now, I made sure to check myself well ahead of time, right? And Chris didn't even really have to say too much, right? He said enough for me to really realize what I need to do going forward, right? But he still listened to me and he was there. But at the same time, you got to still take ownership on your own end, right?
Yeah.
Like there's those days where we all go through that, right? Where we have those bad feelings. We talked about relationships and stuff like that throughout some of the episodes. And I think we talked about, Chris talked a lot about this, about jealousy, right? and how you get jealous, right? That's the same type of thing, right? Like in my past relationships, if I were to see that girl with that guy or with a, whatever, again, back to my belief is it started in my head because I'm seeing that and I'm thinking all this shit. Is she with him? Is she this? Or is she flirting? Is she, whatever? And then I get that feeling. And then when I get that feeling, I almost want to just throw my hands up and be like, fuck, I don't even know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the thing is again, I go back to breathing exercises, right? And again, this is what I truly believe happens, right? When you start breathing, you breathe in for 3, you breathe out for 2, and you only focus on that, it creates a huge space between all those thoughts that are in your brain, right? All those thoughts that are in your mind, and you can get back to a point of your true self, or even a better place than where you were when you were highly jealous or highly pissed off and angry because of whatever situation is happening, right? I don't know. How do you guys Chris, Johnny, or Josh, how do you guys deal with it, right?
I think, like he's saying that, I think a lot of people don't take that time for themselves. Like, take that time to meditate when someone's bothering you. Get out of that situation. Go think of something else. You know, I never thought about meditating growing up, or even till about, a year or two ago. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't
same.
Yeah, and now it's like, I kind of incorporated it in my life, and it's like I never thought it would even be beneficial. I thought it was stupid. Now it's like it's probably one of the most beneficial things you can do. So yeah, take time for yourself, like he was saying. Just stop, take a time, stop, and just look at yourself.
What about you guys?
It's great. I mean, especially with meditation, it gets you away from thought and emotion almost altogether, and it connects you on a higher state of, I think, thought and emotion.
Yeah.
It's more of at peace. You let things flow instead of processing it, because we're always processing and second guessing. I mean, I think I've said this before, we're masters at second guessing ourselves. And I think if we just all kind of flowed to what's coming in with us and start recognizing those things, being aware of your thoughts and emotions is definitely a huge thing, because you could have negative thoughts and emotions coming in, but it depends on how aware you are of that situation, what's going through you, pretty much. And if you can process that in a different way, saying, I think I got this quote from the other day, and it said something along the lines like, what if those bad, hard, lonely, horrible days were just actually vacations for you to get away from your expectations.
Oh, that's good.
So it gives you,
Yeah,
it gives you a release. It gives you time to not be 100%. It gives you time to almost sit on the sidelines, and you can either punish yourself for that, or you can realize what it is and look at the positive part in it, that it's actually giving you, maybe it's giving you that time to maybe you're really hurt about something, or something happens and you just sit in your room and you just feel like crap for hours.
Wallowing, dude.
And just wallowing, yeah, pretty much. But like, you're giving up time, you're freeing up emotion and space and thoughts, and you're letting go of things, you're processing it, and that's a thought and emotion things. Like they're separate totally, but they're connected together like your left and right leg. You need both of them to walk.
Yeah.
Great analogy.
So it's and that all comes back to awareness and being aware of what you're doing, and it can be more than just thoughts and emotions. It's body language.
Yeah.
And energy you're putting out there too, right? That
And
plays a role.
the energy for sure. And all rolls into like karma and everything else, and that all comes kind of back to being having awareness, speaking your truth. What side are you on? Are you in a closed heart, or are you in an open heart relationship with yourself?
What you got, Chris? Anything?
I mean, Johnny's summed it up pretty much, but I think if you haven't tried meditating, I say meditate, try it at least. There's a bunch of apps that I literally, I was in the same boat as Josh. I never thought meditating would ever help me. I was like, that is so stupid. I literally was like, that's whack. I would never do that. And then the first time I meditated, sitting down like this, right? Put your hands on your knees and it's all about breathing. You just breathe, right? It starts with breathing, and then you feel yourself, and then after a while, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel my hands, my legs, nothing. It was just my brain, it was just, I don't know, it was just waves and
Floating, dude.
yeah, and I just only felt my eyes move, and then everything else was I felt like everything wasn't real. Everything in this world isn't real. It's just you. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I felt. And so
letting it go with the flow.
And we want you to feel that.
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
If you haven't tried it, you gotta try
That's
it.
letting go of the reins. That's you bought a ticket on a roller coaster called life, Are you gonna tell the roller coaster how to be a roller coaster on this game called life? Or are you gonna enjoy yourself?
Yeah.
Pick up those
Right.
analogies, people. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm just super big on trying new things, and if you haven't tried meditating, I recommend it. Like, there's a bunch of apps. You know, we live in a technology world.
Yep.
Google it. You don't know how to do it? YouTube it. Just try new things. You know, like
Find your way for sure. There's
Yeah.
always a way, and don't give up. I mean, it might take a couple weeks, a month, but like when it starts kicking in, you'll be so thankful that you even put yourself there and that you believed in yourself.
So
like
even
that.
reach out to us, right? If you have any
Yeah.
questions,
Yeah.
reach out to us.
Yeah.
Like we're more than happy to answer any questions that you guys have as well in regards to anything, right? So message us on Facebook, on Instagram, on whatever that is, right? Like let us know what you got, and that's what we're here for, right? Just like we talked about earlier today, we definitely do this for us, but we also do it for you out there as well, right? So don't hesitate, don't feel weird about it. If you feel that it's the right thing to do, then do it, right? We're all here to support you as well, so open invitation is all I'm giving, right?
And it's not gonna get all blasted over anything or something
Yep.
like that. If you guys need a personal question, just message us and we'll let you know. I mean, we're here to get vulnerable. We're here to, you know, let people know how we truly feel as men growing up, how we have, and that's why I love it. It's all four of us are so different, and it's, you know, it's a blessing. It's a
Unbiased
blessing.
opinions. We'll
Yes.
be open about it.
Yeah.
We'll be truthful about it. We'll be real about it. Again, don't ever feel pressured, right? But if you really want that, we're again open invitation if you need it.
With that being said, we're gonna eat these burgers. Our next episode is gonna be on fear. I would love for you guys to become a part of us next week. Also, we invite you. So tune in.
We love you.
See you guys.
Woo!